Porsche. They make the best sports cars, or so everyone says. But why? I'll be honest, growing up, Porsches weren't a thing where I lived. They were rare, expensive, and honestly, I didn't really get the hype. I thought, okay, cool, it's just a Beetle that went to private school. But then I noticed something weird. Everyone from race car drivers to YouTubers, engineers, celebrities, even my accountant, yes, my accountant, they're obsessed. There's this cult-like passion around Porsche that feels different. So I had to ask, what makes Porsche so special? Is it the handling, the history, or is there something more? Today, we're digging into the Porsche soul, whatever that is, in 2025. Let's rewind the tape, way back, before the 911s, Nürburgring lap times, and billion-dollar auction bids. Porsche's story, it starts with the Volkswagen Beetle. Yep, that little bubble on wheels. In the 1930s, Ferdinand Porsche helped design it. Air-cooled, rear engine, and affordable. Like, really affordable. It was the people's car, literally. The whole idea was to give the average person a way to get around without needing to sell a kidney. But his son Ferry Porsche had other ideas. He looked at the Beetle and thought, cute. But what if it went faster, cornered better, and didn't make people laugh when it pulled up to a race? So in 1948, the Porsche 356 was born. Think of it as a Beetle that got kicked out of art school for being too creative. It was lightweight, low-slung, and modestly powered. Let's be honest, a strong gust of wind could probably pass it on the Autobahn. But it was charming. It didn't need to scream horsepower. It whispered precision. The steering was light, the proportions tight, and it had this addictive mechanical whine that made you feel like you were driving something alive. It wasn't fast by modern standards. Heck, even by 1940s standards, it wasn't a rocket. But somehow it won races. Like actual, serious races. And get this, Porsche sold just 49 of them in the first 2 years. That's not a typo, 49. That's less than the number of opinions people have about 911 model years on Reddit. But the 356 had something else, a soul. It didn't beg for attention with flashy looks or silly spoilers. It earned its stripes by being better. That was Porsche's DNA from day one. Thoughtful engineering over flashy nonsense. It was humble, it was elegant, and it planted the seed for everything Porsche would become. Then came the 911, dropped in 1963 like a mic at the end of a perfect verse. It was the 356's cooler, edgier cousin. Sleeker, more powerful, and let's be honest, a little weird. Rear engine layout? Still there. A flat 6 engine that sounded like a caffeinated chainsaw? Definitely. And in those early years, the handling was what you might politely call exciting. The rear end had a tendency to swing out like it was auditioning for Dancing with the Stars. It was tail-happy, twitchy, and if you weren't careful, it'd bite. But people loved it. It was raw, unpredictable, and totally addictive. Like a hyperactive terrier in car form. Chaotic, but impossible not to love. But here's where Porsche shows its genius. They didn't abandon it. Over the next 60 years and 8 generations, the 911 evolved. They refined the suspension, dialed in the steering, added power, improved brakes, threw in some real comfort, and yet the 911 never lost its soul. That unmistakable silhouette, still there. The raspy bark of that flat 6 engine, as glorious as ever. And the way it drives, like it's reading your mind, sometimes before you even finish the thought. It's less like driving a car and more like forming a neural link with German engineering. And here's the kicker. It's practical. I mean, sure, it costs more than my house, and maybe yours too, but you can daily it. Grocery runs, school pickups, weekend track days, it doesn't flinch. You can show up in racing gloves or flip-flops, and somehow it feels appropriate either way. That's the magic of the 911. It doesn't try to be everything. It just is. Timeless, versatile, and completely unapologetically itself. If you really want to understand Porsche, forget the horsepower numbers for a second. Let's talk about the mindset. Porsche isn't just a car company, it's a laboratory of beautiful madness. These are the same people who moved the engine to the worst possible place in the 911, and then spent 60 years perfecting it. That's not engineering, that's stubborn art. They'll revise a single bolt design if it saves 3 grams. Their GT division measures aerodynamic gains in units you need a microscope to see. One engineer once said Porsche won't sign off on a cup holder unless it can hold a cappuccino at 1.2 G lateral acceleration without foam spillage. Okay, maybe not literally, but would you be surprised? And it's not just performance, it's precision. The click of the climate control dial, engineered. The resistance of the gear lever in a GT3, tuned like a Stradivarius. Even the way the door closes, it doesn't slam. It clicks, like an expensive watch case sealing shut. Porsche's obsession with detail isn't just quirky, it's emotional. It's what makes their cars feel alive. Every part is engineered to work with every other part like it's been rehearsing for a duet. This isn't just car making, this is an ethos. Everything has to matter. Everything has to feel right. To truly understand Porsche people, you've got to drive one. And no, I don't mean 5 minutes in traffic with the salesman breathing down your neck. I mean really drive one. Feel the weight shift, the engine sing, the weird grin that creeps across your face like you've discovered a secret handshake. I got my first taste in a 1965 Porsche 356C. It was, let's say, vintage. Floaty suspension, brakes that required a prayer and a plan, it smelled like old leather and the kind of wood polish your grandpa used. The horsepower, let's just say your average lawnmower might file a complaint for unfair competition. But it didn't matter. The car felt alive, light on its feet, perfectly analog, and full of character. Driving it was like playing a vinyl record, imperfect but soulful. Then I drove a modern 992 Carrera, and wow, that thing didn't feel engineered. It felt choreographed. 500 horsepower, all usable. Steering so sharp it felt like the front wheels were reading my brainwaves. And the interior? Telepathic seat heaters, cup holders that can actually hold a cup, and a touchscreen that doesn't require a PhD. Porsche in 2025 has somehow figured out how to make a car that's part supercar, part Swiss Army knife. But the real reason people stick with Porsche isn't just the cars, it's the people who drive them. Porsche owners are a peculiar breed, equal parts obsessive, nerdy, and wildly welcoming. I went to a Porsche meet this year and was immediately thrown into a heated debate over whether the 997.1 Carrera S has more soul than the 997.2. I didn't even ask, they just told me. And here's the kicker, they're all super nice. One guy handed me the keys to his 993 and said, "Take it around the block. Just don't stall it, she's moody." That kind of generosity, you don't see it every day, especially in a car world where some folks act like a door ding is a felony. What keeps these fans loyal? For one, quality. I've seen 1980s 911s still daily driven with over 200,000 miles on the clock. Original engine, original spirit. Porsche builds cars to last, and they don't reinvent the wheel every 5 years. While other brands are hopping on trends faster than a teenager on TikTok, Porsche just refines. It's 60 years of perfecting the same idea, and somehow it still works. And the numbers don't lie. In 2025, classic 993s are hitting 200K. The 996, the unloved, bug-eyed stepchild, is climbing in value because people are finally realizing, wait, it's still a 911. Turns out the best time to buy a Porsche was always 10 years ago. And the second best time, probably right now, if your wallet can handle it. So yeah, Porsche might not be for everyone, but once you get it, and you never really look back. Okay, so we've talked about Porsche's soul, its heritage, its engineering obsession. But let's zoom out, literally, and talk about something more chaotic, the internet. In today's social media car culture, where everyone's either doing donuts in a Huracan or filming their Civic's muffler install in 4K slow motion, Porsche plays a very different game. It's like showing up to a rave in a three-piece suit, and somehow still getting all the attention. Porsche doesn't chase trends. While other brands are out there slapping neon lights on everything and naming cars after Greek gods or fighter jets, Porsche just quietly drops another 911 with a name that sounds like a firmware update. 992 Carrera T lightweight package with Chrono Sport Plus. Cool. No idea what half that means, but yes, take my money. And on YouTube or TikTok, Porsche content feels different. While supercars are pulling wheelies and setting off car alarms in tunnels, the Porsche videos are like, today we test the tire wear characteristics of the 991.2 under normal grocery store conditions. And weirdly, you still want to watch. Influencers can't even roast Porsche properly. There's nothing wrong to exploit for views. No fire-prone engines, no infotainment bugs. The worst they can come up with is it kind of looks like the last one, which is the point. It's called evolution, Chad. And the memes? Oh, they're elite. Reddit's r/Porsche is basically a fan cult disguised as a car forum. They'll argue for hours over whether the 996.1's headlights are ugly or just misunderstood. Someone once posted a photo of 3 generations of 911 parked together with the caption, "Find the difference, you can't," and that's why it's perfect. Online, Porsche fans are half nerds, half Zen monks. Less flex, more finesse. They don't need flame decals or 700 horsepower to get noticed. They'll post a perfectly aligned set of lug nuts and get 10,000 likes. Minimalist flex. Very German. In a world obsessed with going viral, Porsche remains stubbornly analog. It's not trying to win the algorithm, it's just being Porsche, and ironically, that's why it wins anyway. Now, let's be real, Porsche isn't perfect. Far from it. First off, the price. A base 992 Carrera in 2025 starts around $120,000. And that's just to get in the door. Want seats that don't feel like church pews? That's $5,000. Prefer your car in a color that isn't finance gray? That's another $5,000. You'd think a badge on the hood would be standard, but some of these option sheets make it feel like the emblem's extra if you want it aligned straight. And good luck buying one. Waitlists are brutal. Dealer markups are wilder than a Turbo S on launch control. And if you do get one, prepare to enter the strange, intimidating world of Porsche people where calling a 997.2 a 997 will get you publicly corrected faster than a vegan at a Texas barbecue. Then there's the stereotype, the Porsche driver who treats public roads like Le Mans and won't acknowledge your wave unless you've got the right spec. Flat 6, limited slip diff, ideally a 4.0 badge on the back, it's a vibe. But here's the twist, most Porsche owners I've met, surprisingly wholesome. I've had folks toss me keys to cars worth more than my net worth and say, go for a spin, like it's a Corolla. There's this quiet generosity, this unspoken pride in sharing something they know is special. So what is Porsche's soul? It's not just the speed or the 6-decade heritage. It's the feeling. The way a 911 hugs the road, or the way a 356 makes you grin at 40 miles per hour like you're breaking the sound barrier. It's usable joy. It's engineering romance. Flawed? Definitely. Pricey? Oh, absolutely. But once you drive one, really drive one, you understand. You don't just see the soul, you feel it. So now it's your turn. 911, 356, or bust. What's your Porsche pick? Drop it in the comments. And hey, if you've got a 993 sitting lonely in your garage, I'm house trained and ready for adoption.